So a couple days ago, maybe a day or two ago, a UFC page popped up that wasn't a thing before. It was actually a UFC India page. Let me just find it. Yeah, so it popped up, and the first tweet it says, It's time. A new chapter for Indian MMA begins here right now. Welcome to the official UFC in India." And I don't know if it's like 100% confirmed. This like means that there's going to be a UFC India card this year, but I do think this is big for Indian MMA. Now, Indian MMA didn't have a very good year last year. Let's just get that out of the way. Anshul Jubli, he had potential to be a superstar for India, but he did lose to Mike Breeden. He was looking very good in that fight, but a few barks broke him. Mike Breeden, fucking junkyard dog out there, barked, and it sort of fucked plans up for India, I would imagine, because I can't see, they have signed an Indian female fighter, and I think she actually commented. I think her name's Pooja Tomar, I think her name is. So there's two Indian fighters now in the UFC. Maybe they'll sign some more for this potential UFC India card if it does happen. But the thing I'm looking at for this is like, what does this actually mean for like mixed martial arts in general, and what does it mean for like mixed martial arts in India? I think it's a huge thing. I think it's smart to go venture into the Indian market. It's a country of I think 1.4 billion. I think it's overtaken China for population. So obviously India is a massive market for the UFC to branch into. And they're obviously trying to do that by giving Anshul Jubli a winnable matchup with Mike Breeden, and he didn't end up passing the test. But I do think he's a good fighter skill wise. I just think maybe I don't want to say he doesn't have the heart, but I feel like he did get broken a little bit by Breeden, just with the pressure and that, you know, whatever the fuck he was doing. I don't even know what the fuck that was, but it was pretty fucking base by Mike Breeden to go in there, bark at him, knock him out like that. But like looking at it, I'd imagine if they do an India card, I think there is potential for it to be like a fight night, but with like huge fights. Like Hamza Chimaev could main event a UFC India card for sure. Obviously there's no Indian fighters who can main event UFC India at this point. There just isn't. But a lot of Indian fans are big fans of like the Hamza Chimaevs. A lot of people from that like Caucasus Mountain region. A lot of them like the Dagestanis. A lot of Indian fans are very hardcore. Habib Nurmagomedov fans, Islam Makhachev fans, and everything like that. Obviously Habib's not fighting anymore, but I'm just saying like from that fan base, anyone who trained with Habib, they're probably all big fan of. At least on Twitter, they are. And I think this has potential. This generally has potential. We could get a good card out of this, and it could blow up the growth of MMA in India. So you do a Hamza Chimaev main event. Who knows who he fights? Maybe he's already fought for the title since then, and then maybe he doesn't want to fight championship fights on fight nights or something like that. But maybe they give him like a part of the ticket sales or something like that. Because I would imagine this will sell quite well in India. Like Indians are very passionate when it comes to the sports and everything. And if you have Anshul Jubli, you have Pooja Tamor on the fight. Tamar Pooja, sorry. I know it is Pooja Tamor, sorry. My bad. But yeah, I don't know. You get a bunch of Indian fighters on there, and they'll definitely be watching. Especially if you have like maybe you have Islam Makhachev fight on that card or something like that. I know it would probably be a fight night, but they probably would stack it up. Maybe they do just do a straight up pay per view in India. That wouldn't surprise me at all. It would be massive for that market. But this honestly could be big if they do eventually do a card in India, because there is just a lot of fighters who the Indian market would really love to see. And in general, it'd just be big because, like I say, Indians are very passionate about their sports. And if they explode the growth of mixed martial arts in India, that's like a huge market coming out now. I don't think we're going to be seeing an Indian UFC champion anytime soon. I really don't believe that. Obviously, the closest we had would have been, Anshul Jubli. But maybe there's some other badass Indian fighter coming up that we don't even know about. Like, who knows? There could be some freakish athlete. Like, Dricus du Plessis was a standout South African fighter, and he's like fighting for a championship. So there could be like some Indian middleweight, Indian heavyweight out there who just comes out and fucking runs through everyone, and then we got some beast from India. It's always possible. There's always like a what's the word I'm looking for? There's always gonna be like somebody who stands out ahead of the pack, and just comes in and like exceeds expectations for their countries. You know, there's always trendsetters. You know, Robert Whittaker did it for Australia. I mean, George Soperopoulos did it as well, but you know, then there's Michael Bisping coming in being champion for the UK. You know, like there's just always trendsetters. There'll be somebody who will just come in and exceed expectations from India, and maybe that just it makes the market just grow exponentially. Like maybe it'll just all these people from India will start training MMA and everything like that. They'll be very invested in the sport. So maybe we'll just see a bunch of Indian MMA signings. I don't know if it's a smart thing to do it within this year because I feel like we need to let the Indian MMA scene grow a bit more, let these guys get more experience. Because as we've seen, Ansel Jubilee's got good skill, but obviously the pressure got to the bloke a little bit. But who knows? Maybe he comes back, wins his next fight. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. I like this though. I like the move to the Indian market. Who knows? Maybe we're going to see a massive like market emerge out of India. There's already a dedicated fan base. So if we get a few more Indian fighters in the UFC, maybe the UFC build up like just a Road to UFC, just India edition. I know obviously the Road to UFC has Indian fighters in it, but maybe they could do like some sort of tournament that like builds up like South Asian fighters in general. Maybe some Pakistani fighters, some Afghan fighters. Fighters out of Nepal, Brunei, not Brunei, sorry, Bhutan, sorry. I got my countries mixed up a little bit there. But, I mean, it's all a possibility. You know, like, the South Asia's massive. Like, it is massive. Like, I think it might be the biggest sub-region in the world. You know, obviously, India, 1.4 billion people. Pakistan's like 200 million. I think it's like 15 million people from Nepal. I might be wrong on that. I know it's a decent amount of people in all those countries. Afghanistan like 32 million or something. Like South Asia is massive. So like we generally could get some sort of tournament from there. There's a lot of good Afghan fighters coming up as well, so that'd be a good market for them to invest in a little bit. So yeah, maybe we see someone like that. This will just be good. This will be big for just South Asia in general. Because you get some like maybe some Pakistani fighters on the card. Obviously, the Indian crowd won't like them. They will boo the shit out of them more than likely. But hey, it's close to home. It helps build up that market a little bit. You can get some Afghan fighters, some Bhutan fighters. You can even get some Chinese fighters to like come in. You know, it's close to them. It's close country. They'll get booed as well, definitely. But hey, we're not bringing all these guys in to be crowd favorites. Just it makes sense to bring all these guys in because it's close to them, same sort of time zone. So it's early, like it's a good time zone for all of them to fight in and everything. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see what ends up happening with this. Maybe it's just they've opened up a fucking UFC India Instagram page and there's nothing else to it. But I don't know. I feel like we'll find out within time. But I'm hoping this is like something big that happens. Hopefully this like increases some South Asian signings because there is some good talent coming out of South Asia, especially Afghanistan. Afghanistan is actually building up a very solid amount of fighters, which is pretty crazy considering the circumstances that's going on in Afghanistan. So the fact that they're breeding all these good fighters is like a good sign. Yeah, obviously you deal with a lot of adversity if you live in Afghanistan, so create some monster fighters. And there's even some good Pakistani prospects coming up that I've seen. Nothing too crazy. I'm not saying any of these guys are going to be future champions, but I've seen some talented guys coming out of those regions. So, maybe we'll see someone emerge who's like a crazy, like dark horse. I'm not saying that that will happen for sure, but this is just good for that market. It's always good to open up different markets, build up more bases and everything. The bigger the MMA gets, the more fights there'll be, the more events there will be. The bigger the sport gets, the better. The more content I can make because I just love watching all sorts of fights. I love watching people of different cultures, ethnicities, racial backgrounds, religions. I just love watching them scrap. I can't lie. Like I don't know, something about it. Just watching all different types of people, seeing how they scrap. How good they are, what different skills they have compared to like other nations and everything. Like you got the islanders like the Samoans who are very durable, big guys. You got these Dagestanis who are just amazing wrestlers. You got the freakish power of the Cameroonians like Francis Ngannou. Then you got like I don't know. There's just all sorts of different things you find out about all these different nations and everything. And I love to see it. I really do. It's just cool to see. Honestly, I don't know. It's something about it. Just I feel like this is what it feels like to watch like rugby and everything. You're watching all these different nations compete against each other. In my opinion, I would rather see all these different cultural people, all these ethnicities, races, tribes, colours, creeds, and everything. I'd just love to see everyone fight each other, honestly. You know, it's cool. I like it, but the more countries that get involved in MMA, the better, because it makes it more of a competitive base. It helps more countries get involved. It makes more people want to train better, and then eventually we'll get like an India versus Pakistan matchup. Will be massive. It'll be massive. Like it could be honestly crazy to see like an India versus Pakistan fight, especially in like India or Pakistan. Like that would be crazy. But anyway, that's all I've got to say. I know this video is just like I'm just hyper. It's just a hype. Jesus Christ. It's just a hypothesis I'm coming up with here for what this could mean. Maybe it just doesn't mean anything, like I say. It could just be a UFC India, but I feel like this could lead to bigger and better things, especially for just MMA in South Asia in general. But that's all I've got to say on this topic, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a like. If you like this sort of content, let me know. Give me your thoughts on like a potential MMA event in or UFC event in India or Pakistan or just South Asia in general. Just let me know your thoughts on it. If you're not already, subscribe, put on notifications, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, like I say. Bye bye. Adios. Toodle pip. Goodbye. Muchas gracias. Bye bye.